He always is.
Yes,
Word on the street.
Right. And I'm going to read excerpts from 6 of the 12 stories, and I'm going to read the very beginning and the very end of those 6 stories, and because the pleasure is to know is to wonder how the hell did it get from there to there. So I'm going to start with the object of worship. The god settles on the table. Rose tears a piece from her toast, slathers a heap of cream cheese on the ear-sized morsel, and lays it next to the god. It consumes the tribute. Rose smiles as the god's warmth permeates her body and folds her heart. That's a sweet beginning. Sort of. And then, but we get to blood oozes in the god's wake, flowing out of her womb, spreading onto the sheets. Silently, Rose weeps, clutching at her belly. The god accepts the tribute of Rose's tears and consumes them. The ethical treatment of meat. Raymond and George had never thought much about religion. They tried going to services at their local church shortly after adopting the child. It seemed like the right thing to do. But the preacher said children weren't allowed. No animals of any kind. Only people. It had never occurred to Raymond and George that there was that kind of bigotry in the world. They shopped around and found a more open-minded church about a 30-minute drive away from their home. It was more trouble than they'd bargained for, but they wanted to be good parents. They weren't the first ones to adopt a fleshie as a pet child. Almost a family member, really. But they were the first in their neighborhood. They decided to get a boy, hoping he'd fit in with the all-male character of their household. The agency said his name was Rod, but they didn't like that, so they called him Scott instead. He was so cute. And then we get to Raymond clapped his hands to get the guests' attention. Okay, everyone, I guess we should get started. George fired up the barbecue grill. Everyone grabbed their children. Raymond looked at George. He's all yours, darling. George dug his fingers into Scott's skull and cracked it open. He was looking forward to better and better times with Raymond now that they'd worked things out. But George thought, I'll miss the screams.
See what I mean?
Hochelaga and Sons. I slide open the door to my parents' closet. I gather the clothes that hang there and move them to the bed, laying them down gently, making sure not to wrinkle them, just like my mother would have done. From the top shelf, I take down the boxes of old photographs, forgotten gifts, and useless knickknacks, and pile them on the floor at the far end of the bedroom. I empty the closet of belts, old shoes, ratty sweaters, and rarely worn neckties. Once I'm done clearing everything out, I grab the sledgehammer and start tearing the wall down. Because I can't become intangible and walk through it. Because I can't teleport at will. Because I can't even punch holes in it with my bare fists. Because my father is dead. Because Bernard won't do what needs to be done. And that leads us to, go, Bernard repeats. I fly away. Njabo. Njabo, my only child, my daughter, walks with me. She is as old as the forest, while I was born but 3.5 decades ago. Our ears prick up at the sound of drums. We scan the sky and spot a column of smoke to the northwest. We run toward it. The ground trembles under our feet. The settlement is ringed by rotting carcasses. Their faces are mutilated, but the meat is left uneaten. These are the bodies of our people. I weep, but Njabo is past tears. She sheds her calf body. Njabo the great, the wise, the ancient, thunders with anger. Her flapping ears rouse the wind. Njabo charges the human settlement, trumpeting her fury. Everywhere there is ivory, carved into jewelry and other trinkets, evidence of the mutilation of our people. She squeezes the life out of the humans and pounds them on the ground. The humans in their houses are crushed beneath the powerful feet of the giant Njabo. She kicks down the fireplaces and tramples the ashes. She screams her triumph. Njabo's shouts go on for hours. Our scattered tribe gathers from around the world to the site of Njabo's victory. And that gets us eventually to... Behind my daughter, a group of old men materializes. The Mokidua have shed their invisibility. Njabo smiles. Soon, the ground will tremble. A visit to the optometrist. When a pigeon chewed out Basil Fesper's right eye while he was taking a nap in his lawn chair, he finally admitted that it was time to make an appointment with the optometrist. The previous week, his left eye had rotted so much that it had fallen out of its socket. He tried to put it back in, but there was almost nothing left of it except a shapeless splotch, and he really couldn't see anything out of it anymore. And that gets us to... The next day, Judith complained about bad dreams, in which fleshies hunted her down, burned her body, and dropped the ashes into a dark pit, while gigantic black eyes looked down from the sky. She gouged out her eyes, but they grew back. I'm going to end with something a little sweeter. This is the Ice Age. Though this one starts not so sweet and ends sweeter. So, distorted cars litter the bridge. Quantum ice fractaling outward from their engines, from the circuits of their dashboards. The ice has burst from their chassis, creating random new configurations of ice technology and anatomy. There was no warning. In one moment, the world changed. This is the Ice Age. The wind on my face, the smell of grass and trees tickling my nose, I raced down the deserted road. Mark is with me, laughing. I laugh too. In the fields there are cows, horses, dogs, sometimes people. Some of them wave at us, smiling. Some of them shoot at us, warning us away. We're not ready to stop yet. But I am. Thank you.